Hypixel Studios has closed and Hytale has stopped development. This is one of the longest and most expensive failures in gaming history, and my investigation will shine a light on what really went wrong. The Hytale trailer was flawless and it dropped at the perfect time, during Minecraft's lowest point. It seemed like every child's dream game, the Minecraft killer. But there was one problem. The trailer was fake. They did not use pre-rendered CGI. Instead, they used the in-game cinematic tools to fake the gameplay. For example, when the skeletons die in the trailer, their body parts fly in the direction of the hit. But in actual gameplay, the mobs have a predefined death animation that are not defined by physics. Here, we see a character pivot his head to the side while continuing to walk forward. This isn't possible given that almost all 3D games handle movement relative to where the camera is facing. The opening scene shows the fox pathfinding in smooth, weaving curves, but in actual gameplay, the mobs are snapped to a grid. In the minecart scene, the gravity suddenly speeds up halfway into the jump and then suddenly stops accelerating downwards, which is common in hand-animated keyframes, but never found in a physics engine. And the deception doesn't end there. In this clip of an in-game theater, the video frame wobbles, while all the other blocks around it don't. This suggests that the video was added in post using an editing software and 3D motion tracking. Similar wobbling, which is even more intense, is found in the cinematic tools clip itself. Now, one or two of these oddities wouldn't be enough to say anything definitive, but each is a piece of the puzzle, and the more you look at the Hytale trailer, the more you will notice how much of it looks like a hand animation and not gameplay. The live scripting clip is probably the most blatant. It's very clear that this is not footage of someone scripting, but instead an animation to kind of convey what scripting does. But using a cinematic to promote a game isn't wrong. What's wrong is the lack of any disclaimer of which parts are a cinematic and which parts are not. But if the trailer is fake, does that mean the whole game is fake? No, it doesn't. No serious investor would invest into a game company without proof that they are at least developing a game. And there is a subtle quality drop in animation between the trailer and the blogs that does seem to show the team attempting to turn the animations into a real game. But then why use animations at all when they have a real project and a real game engine? Well, animations are just way faster to make than a complete gameplay feature. Hypixel Studios genuinely intended to make Hytale. They were just being dishonest about how much progress they had made. If you're wondering why Hypixel Studios cancelled the game instead of using their last funds to push the best build out, it's because the game was never as playable as the old devs like to imply, and I will go over more evidence of this soon. But first, let's break down the second biggest lie, the circumstances of Simon's leave. Simon was the founder and CEO of Hypixel Studios, up until Riot acquired the studio, leaving the company in Noxie's hands. It should be common sense that a CEO leaving the same day as the company is bought is not a coincidence, especially given the suspicious nature of his departure message. He claimed that he decided to focus on health, family, and the Minecraft servers. But why would he prioritize some Minecraft servers over the Minecraft killer? That doesn't make any sense at all. Until this year. Simon founded a new game studio called Riot Games. The stated goal of this studio is to stay a small, independently funded team that focuses on quality instead of scope, while being transparent with their community. This is the polar opposite of what Hypixel Studios became, which confirms the rumor that Simon had disagreements with the direction Hypixel Studios ended up heading, and it also dispelled any rumors that he wanted to retire from game development. Not long after he founded the studio, he poached multiple lead developers from the Hytale team to work for him instead. Slikey, a former Hytale producer, Patrick Durbick, a former Hytale game system lead, Musel, a former Hytale game technical lead, and Zero, a former Hytale engineer for the engine, all left Hytale to work at Riot Games. Slikey compared working on Hytale to an insurance company that they dreaded working at. But why did Simon sell? Based on Simon's recent statements, it was a case of imposter syndrome. All the eyes were on him, all the money, and all the expectations. It made Simon assume that he wasn't cut out for leading such a huge game, and he wanted to step into a smaller role, with less pressure, as he handed over the company to what he believed were better equipped hands. He says that he was given a massive offer from another company to sell, but he chose Riot's smaller offer because he genuinely believed Riot would be the best suited for finishing Hytale. Hytale was originally mostly developed on Java, but Riot Games was concerned that Java would prevent Hytale from reaching the console and iOS markets, and it was also concerned that Java game engine developers are so rare that it would give them very little freedom when they hire people. This all led to the most controversial decision in the game's history: to rewrite the entire game engine from scratch in C++, 6 years after the development for the game had already started. Now, this sounds like a monumental waste of work and time, unless you remember that the amount of progress made on the gameplay features was greatly exaggerated. John Hendricks, the game director of Hytale, seemed to confirm this multiple times. He joined the company back in 2021, just before they decided to rewrite the game, and he said repeatedly on Reddit that the Hytale the old team gave him was not a game, but instead a collection of tools and content. This statement makes a lot of sense, knowing that the trailer was mostly fake gameplay. But this wasn't all. After the cancellation, he had an argument with Slikey on X. Slikey suggested that in 2021 they could have released Hytale without adventure mode and just launched the multiplayer and modding tools. John did not like this idea and responded saying that it would be a bait and switch to promise a whole game and then deliver a modding project. Slikey rebutted, pointing out that John's team didn't deliver anything, to which John ominously asked which designer made the trailer. This rhetorical question only confirms that there was something really wrong with the trailer that screwed over development. Simon claimed that he has builds and proof that Hytale would have been ready to release by 2021. However, Slikey's statements contradict this story by showing that Hytale would probably need to cut adventure mode to launch in that time frame. It seems, based on all this, that Simon is still trying to mislead people into thinking Hytale was more complete than it was. But now it was a race. Could Hypixel Studios under Noxie and John's watch turn Hytale into a real game before they ran out of investors' patience? Leadership at Hypixel Studios decided that the only way that they could make that happen was to scale up to a AAA studio. They thought they could afford hiring a bunch of industry veterans and an in-person office. Surely with this huge team they could catch up to community expectations. But they were running out of money, and fast. Their rapid growth doubled the company's annual cost from $17.6 million to $38.3 million in just 1 year. Not only had Hytale gone through about $120 million already, but if they don't finish the game in just less than 4 years, they might have doubled the total money spent, making it the 9th most expensive video game in history, and that's assuming that there is no marketing budget. This is the period where Hypixel Studios went totally silent, working in the dark on their brand new engine. And after a couple years, they finally unveiled it. And, well, the engine did not seem to have any features. They show a single panning shot of a still scene and nothing else. And it took them another half year just to show a player walking through a house and placing down some trees and buildings. And yet, despite the shocking lack of features, Hypixel Studios boasted that this was the most functionally complete state that Hytale has ever been in. This is yet just another indirect confirmation that the original Hytale trailer was almost completely animated and not gameplay. How would this small tech demo of an engine be more functionally complete than all the features we saw in the trailer, unless the features in the trailer were fake? Even though developing an engine is the most difficult thing you can do as a game dev, this was still very slow progress for a $38 million annual cost. There must have been yet another issue plaguing Hytale's development, and it turns out there was. These AAA developers that they brought in were very incompatible with the old team, and they didn't trust the old team at all. So they outsourced the game's engine development to Riot Forge, and allegedly avoided letting any of the old developers collaborate with the new team. Many unverified insiders have come out to accuse Hytale of having terrible management. Many Hytale developers have come out to imply that this was true, such as Pebble, a Hytale modeler, who has a deleted X-post calling Hypixel Studios a kindergarten for adults, and how Ninja Charlie said he had to watch this project burn while being forced to stay silent. On top of all of this, Hypixel Studios showed an unprecedented level of perfectionism that really screwed over development. There are so many unnecessary reworks to features like combat, factions, biomes. Almost everything in the game was at some point rethought of or redone. This scope creep destroyed the morale and the progress that the team has made so far. It was clear at this point that Hytale had no chance of making it to market before running out of money. So, John desperately searched for new investors, hoping to keep it going. But no investor in their right mind would pay hundreds of millions to a studio that had nothing to show for 10 years of work. Furthermore, Minecraft managed to escape from its low point, returning to relevance in media and finding a whole new generation of kids to become fans. And the Minecraft marketplace provided a place for community creators to distribute paid content, something that Hytale had been planning to do before the marketplace even existed. The resurgence of Minecraft isn't what killed Hytale, but it certainly prevented it from ever being resurrected. A combination of dishonest marketing, disagreements among leadership, loss of talent, bad management, and big ambition is what killed Hytale. And while I understand that many people are very frustrated about this situation, it's important to clarify that the devs themselves are probably the most frustrated. None of them deserve harassment, especially at this hard time in their life. I would appreciate it if any insiders could reach out to me and add more to the story and correct any potential errors I made in this video. Thank you for watching.